Hello there everybody, it is me XFreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed building video. So as you guys might have guessed from the title, today's speed build is going to be a Japanese inspired townhouse. And I'm super excited for this one because this is my comeback collab. How awesome is that? It's been over a year since I've last done a collab and I'm coming back to it with a bang, you guys, because this is literally the largest collab that I've ever done. It is a very ambitious collaboration between 6 people and takes over a month from start to finish. So special thank you to everybody who was a part of this collab. Let's see here. Colorful Sims, Harry, Spring Sims, Irrelevant Sims, and special thank you to Pineapple for coordinating and organizing this entire thing. It must have been super complicated to coordinate and organize the entire thing with I don't know, 6 people from all over the world. So I am from Asia, so I decided to choose an Asian themed townhouse for this one. So here is a quick overview of everybody else's schedule before I forget. Okay, so first one up was Penelope, or Pineapple, and she did a Polish townhouse. And then second is Colorful Sims, or Dana, and she did a German themed Shooters townhouse. And then the third person to go was Harry, or Hey Harry. Hey Harry. Cracks me up. She did a New York themed townhouse. And then the fourth person to go was Spring Sims, or Stephen, and he did a let's see here, a London themed townhouse actually. And then I'm the fifth one to go, and I decided to go for a modern Japanese townhouse. And then next week is going to be the last person to finish the collab, Irrelevant Sims, and she is going to be doing a San Francisco townhouse. So that's really exciting. So like I was saying, I am the only Asian in this whole group, so I decided to represent and choose a theme and an inspiration from Asia. As you guys might have noticed, we all chose our themes geographically, not specifically per country or whatever. It's more of like different regions and different areas in the world. So it's really awesome. And I'm really excited for this one actually, because I've always wanted to do kind of like more modern / contemporary builds on my channel. And this is so funny, but this build was actually inspired by a future build that I'm gonna be doing. Well, I've already done it. I've already finished it actually. Cause you know, I literally was waiting for my turn for like a month or something, a couple of weeks. And while waiting, I decided to just do a couple of builds. And one of my builds was actually the main inspiration for this one. You guys will see it next week. It is the Waterfront Wayside, and it is also a contemporary modern speed build. So yeah, my concept for this build is actually positive and negative spaces, because I feel like what differentiates modern architecture from traditional classical architecture is really how you manipulate the space. So you guys can see that the layout is very different. You know, each level of this house is actually different from the next. So there are no two identical levels, and also there is a courtyard in the middle because, you know, positive negative space. And also I had a middle lot, you know, actually 4 of us had a middle lot, which basically means that we had less opportunities to have windows. So I immediately knew that I wanted to have a courtyard because I wanted to have a lot of light in, and I also wanted to incorporate a lot of landscaping elements as well, because, you know, this is a Japanese townhouse. So yeah. So most of the color scheme for this is actually just black and white and neutral colors, and there is a very prominent red accent as well, which is kind of like an homage to the Japanese flag, which is all white, but there is a splash of red in the middle. So that's kind of like why there is a lot of red accents to this as well. So yes, and another inspiration for me was actually pixel art. So you guys can see that the look of the house itself is actually very pixely, if you guys get what I mean. It's a lot of angles, it's a lot of geometry, and you guys can see how it kind of reflects what pixel art looks like, but not literal. It's kind of like my interpretation of how it looks like. So I spent a really long time with the exterior because, you guys, I was so pressured to do this. I was really excited, don't get me wrong, but I was also super pressured because when I built this, there were already like 4 other amazing townhouses in this lot. And I was telling myself, oh my gosh, if you screw this up, I did not want to make the worst looking townhouse. And so far, honestly, everybody's townhouse is so unique. I feel like comparing each one is just, it's not a thing, but it's just, I'm so happy to be a part of this, you guys. It's such an honor. And yes, I definitely pressured myself a lot to put my best foot forward and to make something amazing. Because, sometimes when you're doing collabs, you kind of kind of take it easy because there's 2 of you, but I kind of pressured myself a little bit more to really go above and beyond what people expect. So a lot of you guys probably noticed that most of my recent builds are traditional or classical themed builds. So surprise, there's gonna be a bunch of modern contemporary builds in the next couple of weeks. I'm super, super excited to share this with you guys, and also the next speed build as well. And if you guys want to see sneak peeks of it, go ahead and follow me on Twitter or like my Facebook page. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm more active on Twitter now. I'm making an effort to be more active on social media. So yes. Speaking of being more active on social media, I can't believe I'm talking about this. I'm so giddy right now. I'm so excited, but I'm not really sure if I want to talk. I'm gonna talk about it. So basically, I'm recording this at like 12 midnight. So hello, ghosts. But basically, I am literally scrambling to finish this build because I have an event to attend tomorrow. I was invited to the opening ceremony of YouTube Space Manila. Yes, I'm so excited. It's my first ever official YouTube event, and I'm so excited. I'm going with my YouTuber friends. I have a bunch of friends on YouTube. I actually appear in some of their live streams, and they're mostly voice actresses and voice actors and directors and stuff. They also do Sims Machinimas as well, but I'm going with them tomorrow. Hopefully everything goes well. Right now, my country is currently hosting the ASEAN Summit as well. If you guys don't know that, it's a really important meetings between 10 of really important world leaders, and they're all gathering in my country, and their venue is literally like right next door. I swear, it's literally like, I don't know, maybe like a 10-minute walk away from from my flat right now. So like all the streets are in lockdown, everybody's like, everybody's in their homes and trying to be, trying to look at the spectacle of hosting a few of the most important world leaders. So it's a lot of pressure on my country to keep it safe, and to keep it safe, they closed down they closed down the streets, which makes it really difficult for us to get anywhere. I actually went out shopping today. I went to 2 shopping malls, which are pretty much like next to each other, but going home, you guys, was a nightmare. I had such a hard time because literally the Sultan of Brunei probably like passed by a street and they had to close down the street, and and we had to wait basically. I had to cancel on my Uber driver because he was like, oh, you know what? The street's closed. You have to wait 20 minutes. I'm like, nope, I'm not waiting 20 minutes. So yeah. Anyway, I think it's pretty okay to talk about international things like this because this is a pretty international speed build. A bunch of us are from Europe, a bunch of us are from America, a bunch of us are, one of us is from Asia at least. So yes, hello. Anyway, so you guys just saw me furnish the courtyard area, and I actually really like it. I really went for a more kind of like, I don't know, naturalistic Northern Asian looking landscaping, if that makes any sense. So, it's your stereotypical Japanese garden, which I really did want to incorporate, but I also wanted to distance myself from traditional things like cherry blossoms and, tatami mats. If you guys don't know what that is, it's the traditional floor in Japan, tatami. Actually, interesting trivia. The Japanese traditional architecture is actually the measurements that they use actually for their architecture is based on the tatami mat. So the tatami is a rectangular kind of floor rug or mat, and it comes in like, I don't know, like maybe a meter long, and basically all of their measurements for the rooms that they have in their homes are actually based on that measurement. So one thing that I learned from studying history of Asian architecture. I love it. I love it. So right now we are working on the kitchen. So the kitchen I actually spent a really long time with. Usually I do spend a long time on the kitchen because I really want it to be perfect. For me, the kitchen sets the tone whether a house is good or not, because I look at the kitchen, if it's functional and if it's well laid out and if it looks really interesting, then for me that's the sign of a good house. And like I said, my concept for the speed build is really kind of like positive and negative space, and I wanted to kind of have a different layout for this house. So most of the living areas are actually on the topmost level, and then a couple of the bedrooms are on the second floor, and then there is one extra special bedroom on this top level right here where it has a green roof. And I don't know, it was just an interesting floor plan, and just to have a little bit more variety as well. I feel like a lot of modern homes now do have their living areas on the topmost level, because usually the topmost level has the best views. To be honest, I think that's the main reason why. And I keep talking about my next speed build, but like I said, I've already finished my other speed build before actually starting this build. So this layout was probably inspired by that as well, where the main living areas are actually on the topmost level. I'm super, super excited for that. Also, I decided to locate the kitchen facing kind of like this lake area here in Newcrest, and that is kind of a nod to a couple of the existing townhouses that are already built on this lot. I believe Pineapple's townhouse and also Harry's townhouse has kind of like a similar laid out kitchen where it's facing towards the lake area, and when I saw it, actually when they uploaded it on the gallery, I saw their builds and I was like, oh my gosh, my favorite part is the kitchen. I love the floor to ceiling windows that face to the lake area. It's so awesome. And there is also like this little kind of formal dining room area here. Nothing too crazy. I think personally, most of the family members would probably choose to eat in the bar area just because that place has a better view. I don't know. I feel like, in more casual situations, people prefer to eat at a bar because it's just more practical, right? But I feel like every home needs to have a formal dining room. Not all homes can afford one, but I feel like most homes do, especially if you have like to entertain people from your work. You couldn't make them sit on the bar unless they preferred to. So yeah. I also discovered this really beautiful kind of like fur rug. It's a really small rug, so I really haven't been paying attention to it, but when I enlarged it, I realized that it actually had some really, really nice textures to it. So I used that for the living room area. And this is kind of like the living room slash, I don't know, family room, I guess, because this is the only place where the family can watch TV and stuff. There's also a piano, which, by the way, that is such an Asian thing, though, to have an organ or a piano in somebody's living room. I know you guys also have it in America, but I was watching, I think it was like BuzzFeed's video or something. I don't know. It was like a video of things that you would find in Asian homes on YouTube. And one thing that I realized is that it's very common for Asian countries to have pianos. We have that here in my country, in the Philippines. We have a piano. So cliche. They also have it in other countries as well. I like Vietnam and Indonesia, and of course in Japan, where most of the pianos and stuff are manufactured. So yeah, once again, I also tried to keep this Japanese. I did kind of like, make some references to the fact that this is a Japanese inspired build because, I did try to avoid making this just a generic townhouse. I had to incorporate some aspect or some semblance of Japanese culture to it. And most of that is actually in the artwork that I chose. So for the living room, there's this beautiful painting of like a samurai. And then there's a couple of hanging kind of manuscripts and stuff and all that good stuff. There's actually a good selection of Oriental themed artwork from the builds buy mode. And thanks to, City Living for bringing, multiculturalism to the Sims 4. That feels pretty awesome. So yeah. Also, this one wall here, along the kitchen, dining, and living room, I did keep it bare, except for that one painting that hangs in the dining room. I kept it bare because, you know what? I feel like Japanese, their perspectives and their attitudes, they're very restrained. They're very, very kind of like, they're very conservative. They're very restrained. I don't really know how to describe it. They have a lot of self-control, is what I'm trying to say. That's why I kind of like made this build look super laid back. And at the same time, I also made an effort to make this look like a lot of effort has been put to make it look laid back, if that makes any sense. Like, they put a lot of effort to make it look effortless. I know, right? Okay, so right now we are working on the master bedroom, and let me just take a second to actually talk about the people who live in this house. Okay, so the people who live in this house are a couple with their daughter, and the mom is basically in charge. She owns a travel agency, and then the dad is a photographer, and he takes pictures for the travel agency. So you guys will see that in the master bedroom, there's a lot of cameras. I think I placed all the cameras in the game in one shelf, and also like one antique camera in like that table there that has the TV. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like, this family they could own a travel agency that, tourists. Well, technically that statement isn't wrong. It just sounds a little bit redundant, but yeah. They bring tourists to different places around Japan. That's their main kind of market. So, you guys will see later on this amazing kind of like feature in this house. The kind of like onsen. I'm going to talk about it later, but there is an onsen, which is pretty unique to Japanese culture. An onsen is like a hot spring / public bath, and we have that on the ground level. There goes the cameras, yay! Also, many of the world's cameras are actually manufactured in Japan as well, so lots of electronics for sure. The latest computers and the latest tablets. So, that's a nod to the technological aspect of Japanese culture. And there's actually a lot of that in this build. Their daughter is actually a video gamer, and she is in the MLG, or if you guys don't know that means Major League Gaming. And I'm going to talk about her personality later, but she is one of the most accomplished video gamers ever, and she is basically a legend. She is legendary. Haha. Anyway, so I'm really happy that I was able to use that canopy bed for the master bedroom. It's always a struggle to use that bed because it doesn't come in the most basic colors. I wish they would have it in a black option and in a white option. How difficult is that? But yeah. Also, all of the bedrooms for this do have a walk-in closet except for the bedroom on the 4th floor, so yeah. Also, this speed build would probably have been a little bit shorter if I edited out some parts, but you guys, good news, because most of the footage that I had for this build I actually kept in, so it's a little bit long considering this is just a townhouse, but you guys can see how ambitious I went. I went for 3 bedrooms instead of 2 that I was originally planning. And I also decided to include all of the footage that I had of filming and of furnishing and of landscaping and pretty much everything. I kept it all in there for you guys to see. So the bathrooms are very simply furnished, and all of the bathrooms are also shown in the speed builds, because usually the first things that I would edit out in my speed builds, if they're too long, are the bathrooms and the hallways. And for this one, I decided to keep those in because, you know what, why not? Once in a while, I think it's good to see, to show you guys, the entire process from start to finish. I also kept in the parts where I experimented as well. So, you guys can probably, especially during the beginning when I was experimenting with like the shape, you guys probably saw how long it took me. Literally took me an hour just to decide on how the house is going to look like from the outside. So right now we're working on the guest bedroom, and pretty similar color scheme and feel to the master bedroom, but one interesting thing that I decided to put in this bedroom is actually that bamboo painting, and that is kind of like a cheeky nod to the fact that this bedroom also overlooks the bamboo garden in the courtyard. Like it's artificial and right next to you, or like it's artificial representation of reality, and then right next to it is actual reality, if that makes any sense. Once again, playing with positives and negatives. Opposites attract. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be like all zen because that is such a Japanese philosophy. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna stop now because I'm probably freaking a lot of you guys out. Anyway, I'm just so energetic. Is it even 12 midnight? Like, really? Who has this energy? Okay, anyway. So, a lot of you guys probably don't know this, but I love anime. I live for anime, you guys. Like, I am so immersed into Japanese pop culture because I'm from the Philippines. Our childhood is pretty much all about that Japanese pop culture. Most Filipino children, whether they like it or not, have watched an anime at least once in their life, because anime in my country is so freaking mainstream. It's like aired, it's dubbed, it's freaking crazy. Actually, one of the people that I'm going with tomorrow on the YouTube event thing is actually a voice actress, and she just debuted on her first anime voiceover. I'm so proud of her. Vanille, I'm so proud of you. She's probably not going to watch this, but I just wanted to say that. So, yes. Back to the build. Okay, so this is kind of like the foyer / main entrance area, which has to exist in every Japanese build because, much like in many other Asian cultures as well, in Japan, people remove their shoes when they go in and out of the house, okay? They remove their shoes. So there is this kind of special area before you actually get to the house where you can change your shoes and where you can store your shoes as well. So yes, I'm not sure if they do this in other Asian countries, but in Japan, well, I know that they do this a lot in northern Asian countries like Japan, China, and Korea, and Taiwan, where if people visit somebody's house and they take their shoes off, the owners of the house would give them like temporary slippers to wear. In my country, however, in the Philippines, most people would just go barefoot. We do that in our house. In our house, people aren't required to take off their shoes, but most of us do go barefoot, and we just go barefoot. That's like literally, or sometimes we wear slippers to go outside. Anyway, whatever. That's a cultural thing for sure, but I just wanted to share that with you guys because, this is kind of like an around the world build. I'm pretty sure if you guys watch the other speed builds, you will learn a lot as well about other cultures. Okay, now I'm getting sidetracked again. So, let's see here. I really wanted to incorporate like a bar area. Originally, I was planning to leave all of the balconies empty, but it just really bothered me how there wasn't a bar area. So I improvised and I converted one of the balconies, the one next to the kitchen. I converted it into kind of like an outdoor bar area. And of course, I had to put like some railings over there because, you know, if the Sims get a little bit tipsy, they might literally fall three levels to the ground, which will cause them death. It's so funny though how there's actually no falling in The Sims 4. And like in any Sims games, the Sims cannot fall from the, you know, like that is such a major consideration for architecture, like making sure that, you know, if you have multiple levels, you put railings. There's actually building codes for that, where you are supposed to, there's like heights for the, like minimum heights for these railings and stuff. Why am I getting so technical? I don't know. So anyway, getting sidetracked again. Let me just talk about this bedroom that we're working on right now. So this is the bedroom for the daughter, and she's the only child. I feel like if your family owns like a travel agency, you have got to be a little bit well off at least. So she's pretty spoiled. I think, you know, her dad particularly likes to spoil her, and she is what we call in Japanese a hikikomori. And a hikikomori is kind of like a shut-in. That is the literal translation into English. Yes, I can speak some Japanese. Onegai shimasu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Anyway, I watch anime so much that I literally picked up speaking Japanese from watching anime. Anyway, a hikikomori in literal translation to English means a shut-in. And this happens to a lot of people in Japan where they are contented with their lives as it is. So they basically just shut in themselves into their bedrooms and they just live a life online. Literally me. So that's basically her, but she is also in the MLGs and she keeps her identity a secret. She actually pretends to be a boy, because she's kind of scared that people will underestimate her, but she is really, really powerful. She's very legendary. She has a really good computer. And yeah, she kind of enjoys her anonymity, if you guys get what I mean. There's this one anime called No Game, No Life. Literally only 10 people will get that reference, but there's this anime called No Game, No Life, and the girl protagonist in that anime is literally the girl that I envisioned who lives in that one room right there. So basically she is pretty much a gamer and she is really good at it. So yeah. Alright, so right now we are working on these kind of like the spa area of this house. Having a business in tourism, I think it would be, you know, it wouldn't be surprising to have one of these in your house, especially if you're Japanese and having kind of like these relaxation things is a part of your culture. So I decided to put a sauna, a couple of massage chairs in this room, and also an indoor swimming pool. How exciting. The swimming pool, I'm using air quotes, but the swimming pool is supposed to be an onsen. And an onsen, as I mentioned earlier, is a Japanese public bath or hot spring. And usually it would be split between genders, because when you go to an onsen, you're literally nude. I mean, you have a tiny handkerchief to cover your private parts underneath, but upstairs there's like nothing. So that's, anyway, no comment. Anyway, so in Japan they would usually separate the onsen for the men and for the women, but for this one, you know what? They're wearing their swimsuits, so there's no need for segregation, right? So there's a lot of water elements in this one, and also a lot of stone. I've seen a lot of people use that rock thing. That's actually a table, but it looks like a stone. I feel like it might have come with Outdoor Retreat, but a lot of people use that in their builds, and I've always wondered what that item was. And then I only just recently realized that it was a table, I think it was in surfaces, so it was a table. But I used that rock thing to make it look like an actual natural looking hot spring. If you actually guys, okay, it's 12 o'clock. I can feel it now. Hashtag exhausted. But if you actually Google it, you guys, you can see that there are a lot of really modern Japanese hot springs. So the one I did is kind of like a mix between a modern one and a traditional one. So So yeah. This is probably the most Japanese looking room in the entire house. There's just a lot of nods to Japanese culture here. You know, there's that koi painting, and koi is a type of, I'm not sure if it's a species or whatever, but it's the type of fish that originated in Japan through selective breeding. Actually, the formal name for a koi fish is actually nishikigoi. And they grow to such enormous sizes, like maybe meters in size. They're pretty big. The kois that you see normally in pop culture, they're small compared to the ones in Japan. Also in the onsen, in the hot spring area, there is this lamp that has the sakura trees, and I'm really, really excited for that as well. I feel like it's such a subtle nod. It's really not literal. I mean, it's pretty literal, but it's also really subtle as well. You know, it's not like in your face, Japan, yeah, konnichiwa, banzai. Anyway, I also love that cherry blossom flower thing that I placed on top of one of the rocks. I feel like they just complete the look. Also, you know what, I'm pretty curious, but when I was in high school, in my home ec class, I think it was, we were taught ikebana. And ikebana is a Japanese type of flower arrangement. I don't know, just kind of reminds me just the landscaping. I tried to incorporate that. There's a bunch of principles that I do not want to talk about because, once again, I don't want to go too technical because I feel like it scares people if I get too technical. And the last thing I want is for my commentary to sound like it's like a lecture in like a university. So, yes, I'm trying to avoid that. And just trying to be more kind of like more fluid and more natural with the way I interact with you guys. So anyway, this backyard area is a garden. It's kind of like the Zen garden / relaxation area. So there is kind of like a yoga mat. I did contemplate on replacing it with that Zen chair thing, but I just went with a yoga mat instead because there's just a lot more interactions for it. And then the final thing that we're gonna furnish is actually this front area over here. Very similar landscaping to the courtyard and also to the backyard, but I tried to fit in a tree here somewhere, but it just covered up the facade, and I put a lot of work on the facade, so I'm just like, nope, not gonna cover it. And we're also gonna spend a little bit of time to actually put some lighting on these landscaping. I love using this one light because it lights up the place so freaking much. Like at night, it looks pretty awesome. So it looks like that is going to be it for the speed build. Let's go ahead and check out the floor plans for this one. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up my commentary right here. All the links for everybody else's videos will be in the description below if you guys want to check them out. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye!